There's no disintegrations. As my mum said, I could watch this. It's Star Wars. Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of My Mum Said I Could Watch This. There we go. That shows you how slick I am, still true to my values. Echoes of Darkness, recent released film. So, how does this fit into the My Mum Said I Could Watch It Uvo? Well, this is kind of set between Return of the Jedi. It is set between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So technically, this would be the kind of film I would have barely been allowed to see. Return of the Jedi was the first Star Wars film I saw in the cinema, being X amount of years old. Also, it fits into that bizarre realm of fan films. Now, we also know that Star Trek has had the larger run of these, some of which were made over years, starring members of the original cast. We've had most notable moments being the trailers of who would win kind of stuff. Initially, the Batman versus Predator, which was done by special effects designers for Aliens. This is a Star Wars fan film that is able to break beyond its cosplay closet, as it were, and hold a proper story. It's a half-hour film, basically following a motley crew as they try and find a relic from Endor, which may hold some great value to others, both as a symbol and both as a power. While they're doing this, of course, they run, as most smugglers ever do, through that outer rim of morality that is the resistance and the nascent empire building. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say. Quite frankly, I'm not good at the canon anymore. It was very easy when there was just three films, and then no one really cared when there was six films, and now there's so much in there. It is quite difficult, but fortunately, the director of this film understood that you don't want to be a holocron holder in order to enjoy the film. These are our guys. They're looking for a thing. They find a thing. And what could possibly go wrong? Everything. That is a Star Wars story in a nutshell. It works. First off, it's the production values. As a vehicle for effects and innovation alone, I think it's remarkable. I There's the obvious stuff that you're gonna see immediately on the screen, from the prosthetic work to the matte work to the I couldn't tell whether or not it's CGI or practical effects in terms of the space battles, but they've been able to sync that with a definite par with what you've seen in each of the films. Um, the bits that actually go, you know what, you've actually had to be a good director on this, is the nuts and bolts of it. Endor looks like Endor. I have absolutely no doubt that these guys were filming in the golden hours before the duck came out of a pond, ruining it being Endor. They managed that. That is production value. The fact that you're able to keep a pace up in them there woods is production value. It's never always going to be about how many tentacles a Twi'lek has. It is also about how you're able to make the fantastical in the everyday. So yes, absolutely well done. The music score is paced well. It's not just someone pressing a slider track on Williams. It's able also to give us decent characters from, the Fiona captain who's dash rendering all around the place. James Hammer Morton's Davik, who, you know, it's the scruffy nerd herder, but and James has always been good at this. Is he's always able to show the difference between bravado and confidence, and the sense that he's a little out of his depths while maintaining some interest in the character vulnerability is a very hard thing, particularly in bloke characters. Other characters I'd mention is Rigel, Charlie Bond, who I know, so obviously there is a bias there, and I'm kind of loath to mention what I'm about to. She does, within the role of Rigel, a more stoic character. Frankly, break out of the Princess Leia bikini I was able to con her into when she was young. Banned from the comments, and really bring a sense of pathos and a grayer area to the perspective of the good guys versus bad guys. She's, I think, one of the few times, and this isn't about Charlie, this is about you have to work with the stuff that's given you, it was really good to see her given a part that that matches her ability as an actress. There's a range, there's a pathos to it. There's a self-assuredness to it without self-deprecation. There's nothing twee in her twillick at all. It is a strong female lead with its own frailties as well, and I'm really glad that the script as a whole actually manages that. And as I mentioned there, the resistance aren't the good guys. Just because you're a good guy doesn't mean you're a good guy. You get to see the sense of the righteousness and also the foibles of them. In fact, I had to make sure I wrote those down as well. Not that I'm shipping Vel and Tycho, the two resistance leaders, banned from the comments, who's almost quick quips back and forth on whether or not they should get involved or leave it to, you know, the rest of the resistance to try and find these shooters. It really does work. There is a definite chemistry on the screen, and it helps create a bit of levity in it. Having said that, those early parts where it can almost veer into, there is a certain Haribo moment of quoting the thing. This is a Star Wars, so we will say this thing. Hey, Code Steve. Hey, hey, hey. But again, it runs so fast. It's kind of a Kessel run of drama and pacing that you don't really have to take that in too much. And plus, it is the flip side because when everything does go wrong, because obviously it does, the stakes and our investment in the characters is that much stronger for it. I do think that choosing canon character cameos towards the end, spoiler alert, in that it detracts from the characters we've invested in so much throughout the film until this point. I understand tying it in to the larger arcs that we've seen on the screens, but at the same time, I really felt that it would be better just to keep these characters in the outer rim of continuity and allow us to invest in them with their own agency. And it does allow, to be fair, some very, very shocking and surprising moves on characters you've come to really, really enjoy. You think as a piece, it probably stands longer than that. There's a certain sense that it is its own empire in that it's gone, you know what, we've got one film. Which of these films has the most impact? It's Empire. Let's do Empire. But in half an hour and with all of the people going at the end, which does want you leaving more. So, as a first piece of a film attempt within this universe, I would say it's incredibly well done. It's been quite well scripted. As I say, I ironically the bit that undermines it isn't anything to do with the original characters and anything to do with the original situation. It's everything to do for me with bringing in those cameos itself, which just says how strong these characters can be, and hopefully, um, we'll see them again in a more than near future. So until then, that's me, Rob Deb. Echoes of Darkness is available free to watch on YouTube. I would say it's very, very much a 12A. Really probably knocking on a PG, but there is some proper blasties. So, more sensitive 7 and under kids you might have to consider about. But as I say, think more Empire than Return of the Jedi. And now I think that will allow you to go with whatever you want to do next. So until then, may the force be with you always. I know I did that to annoy Charlie. Bye.